All right, so Docendo 52. Let's take a look at our sentence here. Tom's demonstrations of his prodigious memory for baseball trivia was a source of amazement to his friends. So you got a little bit of problem here with Tom's and demonstrations. I think what they were trying to say, Tom's demonstrations, plural. So Tom singular, possessive, demonstrations just plural, right? Because the demonstrations belong to Tom. Prodigious memory for baseball trivia was a source. Now, the subject here is demonstrations, plural. We have a singular verb, so we should change that to was. Tom's demonstrations of his prodigious memory for baseball trivia were a source of amazement to his friends. Now, I'm looking at this, and if you ask yourself, is there a word in here that you would check to see if it's spelled correctly? I have my suspicions about amazement. I think there's an E in there. So because I have a doubt, I would look it up. All right, so the word are the two adjectives we have here: prodigious, arousing amazement or wonder, extraordinary in size or extent. So the connotations of that word are something big, a huge achievement, literally, figuratively, or something big, as in a building. Propitious has to do with being a sign of good things to come, promising success. Remember, I think we've had a word before, auspicious is very similar to that. Okay, so we fixed our sentence. We have possessive noun here, plural. We changed the verb to match the plural demonstration, subject-verb agreement, and we added the E to correctly spell amazement. All right, a couple words we had in the past. Flowing like honey, an adjective. Let's say you're talking about somebody who's speaking and their voice is very, very smooth. And the other adjective, able to express oneself easily. So both these have to do with a common root from Latin. It has to do with flowing. So flowing like honey is mellifluous, and words that flow easily are fluent words. Okay, so complex sentence with an adjective clause. So we have these clauses that we use quite a bit, and they basically modify nouns. And again, why is this a clause? The man who lives next door is a doctor. Notice it has a subject, it has a verb. So it's not a phrase, it's a clause. And it can't stand alone, it's dependent, but it tells us more about this man, doesn't it? The man is a doctor. The man who lives next door is a doctor. So it's added information. Here's a similar sentence. Dr. Smith, who lives next door, is a surgeon. Now, why commas around this one and not around this one? Well, this one, we're not talking, we want to distinguish which man, the man who lives next door. So that's essential. In this case, we're just adding information about Dr. Smith. It's not essential. And that's basically the rule of when you put commas around these clauses or not. Are they essential? No commas, non-essential. Then you put commas around them. So adjective clauses begin with these kinds of pronouns: who, which, that, where, whose. And again, they basically expand on information, and these form the subjects of those clauses. So you might notice they're very much like appositive phrases because they tell us more about a subject. But again, the reason they are adjective clauses and not noun phrases is because they have a verb in there. So Bill, an avid bowler, is lobbying to have a bowling alley installed in the high school basement. Notice there's no verb there. In this one, Bill, who loves to bowl, is lobbying to have a bowling alley installed. Notice who loves, subject, verb. And again, notice there are commas around that one because it's just giving us more information about Bill. So here's an example of how rhetorically you can use these. So Susan recently joined the Polar Bear Club. Susan loves to swim in freezing water. Obviously, it's grammatically correct to have those two sentences the way they are, but it might be a little bit redundant. So let's combine them into one sentence. A complex sentence. Again, a complex sentence is a sentence that has at least one independent clause and at least one dependent clause. Susan, who loves to swim in freezing water, recently joined the Polar Bear Club. Notice how we took that second sentence here, and we made it a dependent adjective clause by saying who loves to swim in freezing water. So that's the adjective clause in the complex sentence. All right, that is Docendo 52.